Hello everyone, welcome to Walking the Path. I'm here in Carbondale, Colorado. And first I gotta say hi Kevin Nealon, my inspiration, my muse from Hiking with Kevin. I think season 4 is coming out. I'm totally can't wait to watch that. And I'm so excited today because the whole idea, this whole concept was about walking with a friend, and so far it's just been me. But today, I get to walk with a friend, a dear friend. Her name is Alison, and I'm going to introduce you to her, and we're going to walk the path together.
Hi everyone, thanks for letting me join you today. I appreciate it. This is really fun. It's going to be a fun experiment.
Oh my gosh, thank you for playing in this sandbox with me.
That's okay. I love to walk and talk.
All right, so first I just want to say where we are.
Yep.
We're in Carbondale, Colorado, and we are walking the Rio Grande Trail.
Yep.
And Alison, what can you tell us about the Rio Grande Trail?
Okay, so the Rio Grande Trail runs from Aspen, Colorado, 42 miles down to Glenwood Springs.
Okay.
So we usually talk about it as starting up valley in Aspen and then coming all the way down to Glenwood, and it's just a great trail for hiking, walking, bike riding. Yeah, and it runs along the Rio Grande River.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I wish you could see, and maybe at some point we'll have a good view of Mount Sopris, because it's really stunning, and it's been kind of central to so much of this experience.
Yeah, it's 12,000 feet, and it's one of the larger peaks here in the valley, Pitkin County Valley, which is where we are.
That is the first time I've heard that.
Same.
New information.
New information.
All right, so I wanted to start with how we met.
Okay.
Do you remember when we first met?
Well, we met at a company that we're both doing work for called
Yep.
Talentism. And we met at an offsite, and I think that's our first meeting, right?
Well, I met you on Zoom before that.
Okay,
So
I'm thinking
we
of
met
our
on
first
Zoom.
physical meeting.
Well, I want to share my experience
Go
of
ahead.
meeting you on Zoom, because you made an impression on me. When we first started, so this is a small kind of startup company, amazing, interesting people, and Alison was there before me, and I joined one of their team meetings, and there was only about like 6 of us at the time, and I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I didn't know why I was invited to this meeting, because I had just started, was part-time, and I just remember seeing Alison, and you were talking about something or introducing yourself, and I was like, oh my God, she's so smart. She's so impressive. And you just seemed...
I love walking and talking with Sharon.
You were very intimidating to me.
Interesting.
And
okay, I'm learning.
Allison always looks like she's dressed to the T's. So I was like also really impressed with, just so put together, but so interesting. It made me happy to be in that group.
Okay.
But I was really looking up to you.
Aww.
A lot. I was. And then we met with the same group
Yeah.
at an offsite in New York.
Yep.
And you want to tell from there?
Well, I mean, listen, it's really interesting that you say you were sort of impressed by my being in that Zoom situation. I felt the same very much way in person. You had some great ideas, and you were very, like, I just felt very confident in presenting them, and questioning the way things were done. And I thought, wow, she's sort of badass. But how, my biggest memory was that opportunity we had to get up early. So we looked at each other and we said, well, what are you doing tomorrow morning?
Right,
I'm a big walker. And you said, I'm a big walker. And so we happened to be downtown in Manhattan, which is an area really near and dear to my heart, because I was born there and have been working in Manhattan for years. And so we got up right before the rest of the world in crazy Manhattan, and we walked across the Brooklyn Bridge.
And we walked across the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, and we really got to know
each
each
other. And I was
other.
just like, we are going to be friends.
Yeah, and that was it. That was the start. And here we are.
And that was the start. And so now, what's funny, we've seen each other a couple times in person.
Yeah, and a couple times for
hiking. Your sister lives near me in Massachusetts. I visited you in Westport. We've seen each other in New York. But most of the friendship has been developed over Zoom.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, But so that's possible.
It is possible.
And I just always look forward to our meetings, because besides what we were doing with this consulting firm, I feel like we kept uncovering other ways that we were similar or interested in certain things.
Yeah.
You know?
I would find that, remember, we would finish Zoom meetings and you and I would kind of stay on, kind of hoping that the other one would stay on. Is she going to stay? And then, we'd find ourselves the only two people in the room.
Yep.
And then the conversation would just eventually,
Yep.
shift from work into the rest of our lives. And
The
how
rest
the work
of our lives.
sort of weaved
Yep.
into our lives.
And so then that landed us here, which is kind of funny.
A little bit of a leap of faith, right?
I know. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well,
Because
here we
it's
are.
kind of funny.
As Sharon said, we went from, meeting on Zoom to a few in-person meetings in different spaces, and yes, largely anchored by a walk. But then we found ourselves on a Zoom call, and Sharon was talking about the journey she's on right now. And I am also in my own transition. My youngest child is leaving for college, has already left for the summer. And I found myself an empty nester, which didn't really jive with how I wanted to be thinking about it. So I sort of changed it around, and maybe other people use this term, but it's really resonated with me, is I'm a free bird.
You're a free bird.
Since you look like Siamese twins walking down the path.
And so there I was, like, with this time, this space. And, as Sharon was talking about her journey, it was really inspiring. And we both, had our sights in different reasons set on some time in Colorado.
Yep.
And so there we just said, I'm interested in Carbondale as a place to hang my hat. And Sharon, you said, so funny, because that's an area I'd like to get to know.
Which I had just heard from other people, like never heard of this place before in my life.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, well, do you want to do a week together?
And I was like, sure. So, we just got on Airbnb and we made it happen. And I think we both committed to it. And then we're a little like, what do we do? What do we just
I don't really know her that well.
Right. But it's so far, what has it been, 6 days?
Yeah.
We've had a blast.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And one of the things is there's never shortage of conversation.
No.
We're always just like, what else can we talk about? I want to step back for a second because I had never heard that term freebird before.
Yeah.
And I love that so much because you just turned something around that can feel sad and, empty and lonely into possibility.
Yeah.
Freebird, like all the things you can do, freebird. And I'm totally stealing that, freebirding. Did you use it as a verb? Freebirding?
I think you can be freebirding, or you can use it as an adjective to describe. Listen, I'm not so great with my grammar, but I think you can probably put it into a bunch of different contexts and make it work. But I think the spirit behind it is just what you said, that there's suddenly this opportunity.
It just flips it on its head.
Yeah.
And we were telling this story last night, but I have to say that. So I have zero musical ability. And one time, boyfriend in high school, his band was playing in the basement of some, random party. And I got up and sang Freebird and thought I was so fucking badass. And you were saying how that's your go-to.
If I find myself, listen, I don't sing in the shower, but if I do find myself in a situation where there's a karaoke opportunity and I am being called or pulled towards it, it's either Don't Stop Believing by Journey or it's Freebird.
Oh my God.
Because growing up in the early 80s in high school, that was kind of like,
Totally.
who didn't know Freebird? So yeah, that's kind of
So
how I
what
feel.
that makes me think of course, is at these offsites that we've done with this consulting firm, there has been known to be karaoke. So if that
Something tells me.
opportunity emerges, we may need to do a Freebird duet.
I'm in.
We'll
I'm in.
see. I think Pat would like to be in that too.
Yeah, there might be a
So,
few people
we'll
up
see.
there.
Oh my gosh. Well, one of the other things, in terms of here, because walking the path is about where we've been, where we are, where we're going.
Yep.
And we're here today, but I feel like for you, I've heard you talk about Colorado.
Yeah.
And I've heard you talk about how special it is to you and some trips you've done. But I get to see you here now, and I get to see how lit up you are by this place. So I just love to hear you talk a little bit about your past and how why this is so special to you.
Okay, I mean, you know, a fairly longish story short, I suppose. You know, I started coming out here as a little kid.
Okay.
My family were big skiers. We didn't do a lot of trips out to Colorado, but we did a few. And I just remember being, you know, having grown up by the water,
Yep.
just coming to these big, vast mountains was just a thrill and, you know, exciting, and I just felt really, I don't know, free here. So, you know, as I grew up, after college, I moved out here for a while.
Okay.
Had the opportunity to get to know Colorado in the summer, which is, you know, where we are. And a lot of people say you come for the winter and stay for the summer. My husband and I, in 2009, when the market, you know, went through all the turmoil, we decided to take our 4 kids and leave town. We got someone to rent our house, and we came out and decided to just reset. We were both going to go through sort of career transitions, or
Yeah.
at least we knew we wanted to. And so we just said, where's the place that could feel like home, but was enough difference than what our kids had been experiencing,
Yeah.
and us, that we decided to move out to Colorado. So we moved to the mountains. We spent 2 years there, here, in this
Amazing.
area. And then, so there we go. I'm now thinking again, like, how can I get myself back?
Because you're a free bird.
Because I'm a free bird.
And FREEBIRD opens up a whole bunch more
Yeah, and
possibilities.
you know, all we're doing right now is just investigating. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no real plan. It's just, let me, you know, what does it feel like to be in Carbondale?
Yeah.
You've been so helpful in, like, being game for just, let's go sit in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Let's go for a walk. Like, what do we see? Let's drive into this little community. And so, you know, that's been the nature of this path to here. And I don't quite know whether we'll end up here or not.
Yeah.
But
But
I'm
we've had a
enjoying
good week either way.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the exploration.
Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. So this really is like literally has a part of your past, your present, and potentially your future.
Yeah, and I appreciate you calling out just how much you see I light up.
Oh
when
my
I'm here.
God. It's so obvious. It's
Yeah.
so obvious. And like picking out where we're going to hike, and then we're going to go do some yoga after this, which is a nice segue into one of the ways that I experienced us becoming friends. Even like, we're so passionate about the work we do with this firm.
Yeah.
It's really interesting stuff. And it was part of a broader picture for us and how we think about human potential and growth and evolution. And I was really drawn to your, like, I know you're a yoga instructor. You focus on positive psychology. There's a lot of mindfulness attached to that. And every time I heard you talk about any part of that, I was just like, say more. Because I loved the intersection, I think is really meaningful. And the passion that you have when you talk about it feels really meaningful. So I'm curious, like, when did that start to become a part of your path?
Yeah. You know, every journey kind of, I guess, starts with yourself, right? Your own
Yeah.
personal experience. And I was a pretty wound college athlete. Go. You know, pleaser, perfectionist, and, you know, it, and all of that was great. But it took a toll.
Yeah.
And I graduated from college, and that transition was tough.
Yeah.
I really felt a little bit at sea. And that's when I started.
turn around.
Yeah, let's turn. That's when, again, look at that view right there. You get to see the thing. Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, please. I recognized that I was losing a lot of energy as opposed to, like, getting energy, and I felt really burnt out. And so I remember wandering. I was in Chicago, and I was wandering down the street, and there was a yoga studio there. And now I remember my mom practiced, like, yoga in the 70s, like, in the living room, you know. But I just felt really drawn to go inside.
Yep.
And that really just started my journey. The breathing, the moving, you know, less like I do yoga and more just like I breathe and move. And I found like a stillness in myself in that practice that I hadn't experienced before.
Yeah.
And so that really set me on a journey of, you know, finding higher levels of wellness. I mean, I wasn't in distress. I wasn't in dis-ease state, but this thing really resonated with me. I just wasn't feeling at ease.
Right.
There was a dis-ease. And so being kind of curious about all of that and always being kind of physical person, my practice started really as a physical practice to relax me. But then it really, led me to pursue it in a more, what's the word? Like a more tangible way.
Yep.
And I wanted to learn like the science of thriving more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started investigating, and I had been doing a lot of psych in college. And Martin Seligman, who I don't know if people know, but he is sort of the father of research in learned helplessness.
Okay.
He himself started to study, well, what about people who have a level of wellness, but how far can they take that? What's their potential for wellness?
Yep.
And he started to really engage in a lot of scientific studies on, and that is the field of positive psychology, which I think can get lost. We're not talking about the science of happiness and science,
right.
but it's really about higher levels of wellness.
Yep.
And so his posit, and encourage people to go check it out if you find this stuff kind of cool, but it's about ramping up. How do you go about incorporating behaviors, cognition, thoughts to bring you to thrive and in flow? And so positive emotion, how do you ramp your positive emotion? Practices of gratitude, practices of mindfulness. How do you amp up your engagement? So the whole acronym is PERMA.
Okay.
Positive emotion, engagement, investing in relationships, finding meaning in your life, and accomplishments. And I'll add on one other, which is something that one of his PhD students in the program that I did when I got my certification in positive psychology is vitality.
Okay.
So it's like PERMA V, and that's like that physical wellness.
Yep.
Nutrition, physical movement. And so that whole model just really resonated with me. And so for my own self, practices of mindfulness, my own yoga practice, investing in relationships like us, engaging in my work, making sure that I'm out walking, all is something that I'm very much conscious of trying to incorporate into my own life.
And you do live it. Like, I see how you live it. It's not just, something that you're studying or interested in. It's a part of who you are, like really integrated.
Yeah, and I can fall off.
Yeah.
It's like steps forward and then there's a step back. But I try to, compass.
Yeah.
Keep my needle pointed in that direction and use this as a framework to doing that.
Yeah.
And that's how I also try to work with my clients.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. I love that. So I think one of the things we also have in common is we're interested in a lot of different things, like that. So when you think about the future, like, what are some of the things that just get you really excited? And this is not a commitment to a plan.
Yeah.
This is just like, I really find a lot of curiosity in this.
Yeah.
Like, what's lighting you up?
Well, listen, like you said, there's this like new open space in front of me.
Yeah.
With my children out in the world, on their own path.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think I'd like to ramp up my own practice. We have the opportunity working with the company that we work with, and I work with a couple others. But I'm, I have some fear around it and some negative narratives around doing it. But I foresee trying to bring this work and these practices to others in one way, shape, or form. Either it's in corporate space or otherwise. I think you attract the people you're meant to be working with.
Totally.
So there's that aspect. My husband and I have just gone through raising 4 kids, and it's been really hectic. And we've had our...
And 4 amazing, great human beings.
But I think there's, when you talk about relationships, there's a certain amount of like getting to know one another. Again. In this new context.
Yeah.
And that's exciting.
I love that that's exciting. Yeah. Some people are scared of it.
Well, I think there can be some fear around it too. I mean, we met when we were 24, and now here we are in our 50s, and the kids have been such a large part of our lives. But I think we're both feeling really excited about the opportunity to get to know each other in this context.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. Well, one of the things I just wanted to share, and I'm thinking about it more as I'm listening to you talk and how drawn in I am to listening to what you talk. I have a lot of friends, and so many of those friends you get from like history along the way.
Yeah.
And you know, when we're in our 50s, you don't always make like new friends.
Yeah.
Like new friends to the point where you want to travel or share your dreams or share things. And like, that's special to me.
Yeah.
That we have established that friendship. And I just feel like, you know, who knows where this goes from here, but it's just been a blast.
No, it's been a blast. And yeah, I like to, you know, listen, there's a finite time in a day, right? 24 hours. So I'm sure all of us are thinking about like, what can we fit in? What do we want to fit in? What do you have to let go?
Yep.
But I don't know, I've always, when I was a little kid, I won an award called Love of Learning, Love of People. I swear to God, in the 4th grade.
Oh my God, you got to write a reflection. This is so amazing.
And I just am super curious about the human person. And so I try not to come with judgment. And I just believe that we all have good within us, and people irritate us, and maybe they're not going to become a close friend, but yeah, I try to hold
just
space.
Curiosity.
Yeah, hold space. And I think there's always something to learn. And I learn tons from my yoga students. Who bring just a whole different dimension to my world. So yeah, I'm excited to see what comes along in terms of friendships.
I love it. And just people are drawn to you because of that, because they can sense your curiosity and your, you know, you're present and really want to learn.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Thanks.
So what do you think of this?
I mean,
Walking
you know,
the path.
I think it's fun. I'm worried about your arm holding up. I feel like I should take that from you.
No, I'm good.
But listen, I have no idea who's going to watch this, right? But it's
Me
a little
neither.
bit of a leap for me, an experiment to just sort of put something into the universe. But it is kind of fun, and it's a challenge, and I think, fun to just dive in a little bit deeper and sort of explore some of the things that I don't know that I've ever put those, pieces together.
Right. Because, like, ultimately, we all are walking a path. Yeah. So just figuring out, where are we going? Where we've been, what we've learned, and who else can we
bring along?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that is really cool, and I really applaud you for doing it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Who the heck knows? I still don't know what I'm doing.
Hi, Kevin.
She got the memo that we got to say. All right, well, I think that wraps it up for this edition of Walking the Path. Thanks, Allison. Thank you so much. And thank you, Kevin. See y'all later. Bye-bye.